Eye Center. SeeClearJacks.com.
It is 7:44. Natalie story about a father's love and turning heartache into healing. Steve Soud's son, Jonathan, died in 2010, just days before his 13th birthday. And in the middle of his pain and grief, Steve took an unexpected journey. The surprising place he found healing, half a world away. With his warm smile and deep brown eyes, 12-year-old Jonathan Soud was like any other kid. He loved to have fun, loved music. 2 years ago, though, the unthinkable happened. A pain in his jaw turned out to be not a dental problem, as first suspected, but a symptom of a serious illness, leukemia.
I would like the world to know that Jonathan was a very caring, giving, selfless child.
With a memory of his son still very much on his mind and in his heart, Jonathan's dad, Steve, sat down with us to talk about his son's short fight with leukemia. As it turned out, Jonathan would only live 3.5 months after he was diagnosed. One day in his hospital room at Wolfson's, something special happened.
That was really a magic moment in the hospital room.
A simple conversation between Jonathan and his doctor, Eric Sandler, would start a chain of events that would touch lives half a world away.
And one day he and I were just talking while I was giving him chemotherapy, and I asked Jonathan what he liked to do, and one of the things he talked about was travel. And so then we were talking about where he'd like to travel, and he said Mongolia.
I'm across the bed. I'm sitting there thinking, who in the heck wants to go to Mongolia? There's nothing there.
As it turns out, Dr. Sandler wanted to go. In fact, he'd been talking to a colleague about a program that sends doctors to Mongolia to help kids with leukemia. And he didn't know it then, but Steve Soud would want to go too. Soon after that conversation, Jonathan died. His dad approached Dr. Sandler about making the Mongolia trip a reality.
Well, you know, I never had any intention of going to Mongolia. I really figured this is Eric's trip. He wants to go, let him go. But 2 months after Jonathan passed away, Eric and I were talking about it over his desk, and he looked at me and said, have you thought about going? It might be part of the healing process for you. And immediately tears welled into my eyes, and I knew I had to go.
So nearly a year after Jonathan's death, a team of specialists headed from Jacksonville to Ulaanbaatar, the capital city of Mongolia. They helped children at the local hospital there. They trained other medical professionals about leukemia and lymphoma. And they brought supplies to a children's orphanage. Steve Soud says he felt his son's spirit everywhere and knows Jonathan was watching and approving.
I think he'd be very proud. I think he'd be very pleased. I think he would know that his life made a difference in the lives of many other people.
And the team plans to go back to Mongolia to help more children next summer. And if you'd like to help fund their mission, you can do so through Wolfson Children's Hospital. Just make a donation to the Jonathan Soud Memorial Fund.
It's amazing to think that a young man's story here in Jacksonville can change lives a world away.
So many lives, and as you can see, his father was still, racked with grief, but now able to speak a little bit more freely about his son's passing in light of what they've been able to accomplish in Mongolia.
Absolutely. All right, it's 7:48. It's 12 minutes away.